Thanks for joining me.
Anytime.
KATATONIA just recently announced coming to Australia in February. Um, have you come to Australia before?
Yeah, it's been a few years now. It was before the whole pandemic debacle.
Yes, good choice of words. How did the tour go for you?
Yeah, really good.
So, what can we expect differently this time around? Now, I'll just preface this by saying you're doing 5 shows in 5 days.
Yeah,
Are
it's a
you
tight
flying
schedule.
in early and giving yourself some time to settle in? What's the deal?
Well, fly in, do a gig, fly. Yeah, a couple of hours of sleep and then fly for the next one.
No days off
Very
at
tight
all
schedule.
afterwards?
Oh,
Mm.
well, afterwards, but yeah, it's tight.
Mm. Are you touring at the moment?
No, it's been festival season now for a while, so a few
Right.
gigs every here and there, and now we got a couple of weeks off before the next ones.
How's the latest album going for you? And tell us a bit about the recording of that. How involved it was.
Well, we usually come very well prepared to the studio. Uh, we've gone through the songs before and know kind of what we're gonna do, except for guitar solos and stuff like that. And you just go in and record it quickly. I mean, we did the overdub thing this time, at least, where the drummer went down to a studio. Yeah, the guy that recorded and the drums and mixed the album as well in his studio. So he got the drum sounds like he wanted, and we recorded the guitars in the studio here in Stockholm and the bass as well. And the vocals, Jonas recorded it at his place. But I mean, you go into the studio thinking this is going to be done in a day, but that never happens. Then you realize, this song hasn't got that much guitar work on it, and it turns out to be like 16 guitars with all the different sounds and yeah. But it took about a couple of days, 3 days maybe, to do all the guitars. And pretty much the same with the other instruments, I think.
So
So it was pretty quickly recorded that way,
yeah.
But then we go in prepared, so it shouldn't take that long.
Your guitars, what are you using these days, and how does your studio equipment differ from your live equipment? And if so, how?
Well, I tend to go for I go for analog stuff in the studio, uh, analog pedals and amps and stuff. But um, live, it's too much of a hassle. And the dance you have to do when switching sounds, you have to press like 3 different pedals at the same time as you sing. And yeah, it's too much work. Digitally, you just, one push of a button and you're done. And you got all the delays in the right BPMs and everything, It's too much work, really, to go analog. I'm
You,
lazy. That's the thing.
well, you've only got 2 hands and 2 feet, so yeah,
Yeah.
you got to work with those limitations. Just take us back to you joining the band. How did that come about? What do you remember about that time?
Well, I had no idea about these guys before I joined. Uh, it was actually a drummer from another band that I've been out touring with. I did a couple of tours with a band called The Pain of Salvation.
Yeah.
And the drummer called me and said, these guys were looking for a guitar player and thought that would be something for me. Okay, I might check it out. And I called Frederick from Opeth because I knew that they had been touring with them before, and he's a good old friend of mine. Just to ask what kind of style it was, and he thought it would suit me. And yeah, I've got in contact with the guys, and we went out for dinner, and all of a sudden I'm in the band. And I kind of got to learn what they sounded like and the songs in the rehearsal room.
Yeah, right.
And fortunately, I love what they're doing and what we're still doing. So
Would have been an awkward conversation if you thought their style sucked once you got to
yeah,
the
it
yeah.
really would.
So the first album that you were on, was it in fact The Fall of Hearts? Were you actually on that album?
Yeah, I did the solos on that one. I kind of stumbled in at the end of that one. They had already recorded the most of it, and they wanted some solo parts and stuff. So yeah, just went down to the studio and recorded some stuff.
The COVID debacle, as you so perfectly put it, um, were the band cut off mid-tour, or was it in between tours? And how did the band adapt?
We had tours planned, especially a European tour that
Mm,
we were looking forward to. That we first pushed forward 1 year, and
yeah,
well, then another year, and
yeah,
it turned out to finally, finally we did that tour this year, 3 years later, you know, and
what had
there are a lot of festivals, all the festival gigs that
mm,
just got pushed forward and forward and forward. A lot
mm,
of them, went bankrupt, and venues that went bankrupt as well. And
mm.
yeah, really screwed a lot of people over, that thing.
Oh yeah, yeah, you're telling me. Um, have you done like a full, no, not like the festival season, but you've done a tour since COVID, and how different was it? Like I'm asking about things like nightliner buses and that. I hear stories about how difficult it is to even get a nightliner, and a log jam of bands, this many bands trying to get into this many venues now. Have you had experience with that?
Not really. It was like it has always been.
Yeah,
We
oh,
did
good.
a US tour at the end of last year, and then we did a European tour in the beginning of this year, and a South American tour as well. Everything was, you know, back to business as usual,
You've done
pretty
well. I've
much.
heard some. I've heard some pretty bad stories, so you've done well.
Yeah.
What have we got in store? What can Australian fans expect from a Catatonia tour in 2024?
Get their minds blown, of course. Well, it's gonna be a bunch of new songs. I mean, we didn't tour on the previous album either, so it only got one tour, and that was that US tour last year. That was the only tour that album ever got
Yeah,
because of the COVID. So we released that album the worst possible time, just
yeah.
before everything closed down. So we got two new albums to choose songs from
Mm,
that had never been played live there before. So
that'll be something to look forward to. Has the band
yeah,
been affected much by the skimming, if you like, of merch money by venues? Has the band been impacted by that?
uh, I don't really know. That's kind of not my table. That's other people take care of that. I just play guitar and sing, that's all.
Back to playing guitar. What are you playing? What guitar is your chosen guitar these days?
I kind of stumbled onto this one. I had no idea. I started looking around for a new guitar, just and came across this Schecter model. Schecter
Mm,
of all brands that usually, known for making heavy metal stuff.
mm,
And they did this vintage model that I just fell in love with, and got in contact with them, and apparently the main guy there in the States was a huge Tiamat fan, which I was still
mm.
playing with them then as well, and just said, yeah, throw guitars at him. And I got a couple of those, and I had no idea how they would feel, how they would sound,
Yeah,
but they just looked so good. I would play them anyway, I thought, but unfortunately they were a dream to play and sound amazing.
yeah.
And then the main ones I play now are a previous model to that they've unfortunately don't make anymore, but to humbucker model of this Ultra. It's called Ultra. They did first an Ultra, and then they made an Ultra 2, which was the 2 pickup one. And then I have a few Ultra 3s as well, which have 3 Filtertron pickups, which are my favorite pickups of all time. The first ever humbuckers. That's cool. And
We
well, for the whammy part, I kind of just went for a couple of Super Strats. They make a couple of really good ones that are the exotic line of their very cheesily named Sun Valley Super Shredder series. But yeah, they work very well, are extremely stable. They're black limba bodies with what's it called? The wood wenge necks, and
yeah, right.
it's the most stable guitars I've ever felt.
Yeah, okay.
But
What
my
about
my
amplification?
MLC amps any day of the week. Amazing boutique Polish brand built, point to point thing. With this guy is insane. The guy that builds them is a genius. It's kind of like having 6 amps in one. He makes this Sub-Zero 100, it's called, uh, where you have 3 of his channels, uh, which he has based on different guitar players' sounds, kind of.
Mm, mm.
Um, and then you can switch them, so you get the clean channel can become an old Fender Twin, and it sounds like the best Fender Twin you've ever heard. It's insane.
Yeah, right.
And the mid channel can be switched to a super lead, and like the same there. It's like the best super lead you ever heard. And the lead channel can be switched to an 800. And all the components is so picky about everything. It's the highest quality in every little part. Extremely heavy and quite expensive, but they are the best amps I've ever played by far.
Mm. Do they go on the road with you?
Uh, well, it depends. If we do fly-in stuff,
No,
no.
yeah, yeah.
But in the studio, it's the weapon of choice any day.
Excellent. Hey, thanks for giving us insight into your gear. Sounds
Yeah.
very interesting indeed. Thanks for having a chat, and look forward to seeing you guys here in February, hitting us hard.
Oh yeah,
Five shows, 5 days in,
yeah.
punch us, and
Tight
then leave.
schedule.
Hey, thanks for your time, man. You take care of yourself, and we'll
Nice
see you in
talking to you.
February.
Yeah, see ya.
Oh, one more thing. Horns in the camera, please.
Horns in the camera.
Excellent.
Hey.
You have a good one, man. Take care.
You too. See you, mate.